Get ready to dive into the comic book realm where heroes rise and villains take the helm. We're here to dissect the stories and the art. On source material, we tear the panels apart.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Source Material Comics Podcast. Oh my goodness. We are here to discuss Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. One of my favorite things. But not only that, we are also going to be discussing Stranger Things as the two properties come together in one story. That's right. Over there, Alexis Hejna actually pitched this to me, and surprisingly, like two other people within the last month have thrown this my way, and I was like, yeah, I'm actually doing a show on it. So
you know it's good when that many people are saying, Jesse, you got to talk about this.
Right. Why don't you let our listeners know what we've been doing with Stranger Things the past few months?
Absolutely. So after the first trailer dropped for Stranger Things, started talking to our boss, Mr. Mark Radulich, here at the Radulich and Broadcasting Network, about how no one had done a TV Party Tonight look at any of the past seasons of Stranger Things, which to this day, I still don't understand. It's like, what do you mean no one's done this? It's
right.
Like Stranger Things incorporates everything that everyone on this network loves. Sci-fi horror, 80s nostalgia. I can't figure out why no one wanted to do this, so I approached Jesse and suggested that we do a retrospective. 1 month, one season.
That's right.
We realized that we were actually going to be short on content because we had 5 months to go, and Stranger Things Season 5 does not end. As we are recording this, tonight is December 17th. We have only gotten 4 episodes so far. We're getting another 4 on Christmas Day and the finale on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I cannot wait.
Can't wait either. But yeah, I realized that means we are going to have nothing to talk about for 1 month. So we decided that after doing the first 4 seasons for December, we would take a look at a graphic novel. Found this, knew I had to get it. Those of you who have seen me on this show before, you know I have a serious weakness for bizarre comic crossovers. I don't know why. I just love seeing people try to blend the art styles and storytelling of two totally different properties. I'm currently reading Gargoyles meets the Fantastic Four and the Powerpuff Girls meet Thundercats.
Nice. I think one of my favorite ones that we did was basically the Power Rangers versus, well, I don't know if it was a crossover with Nightmare on Elm Street or versus Freddy Krueger. I can't remember exactly.
So that one wasn't even released in print.
Right. And it was so good. I mean, you're right. Comics are one of the best mediums to get some of the wackiest properties to come together and cross over. I completely was not expecting the Turtles to do a book along with Stranger Things, the kids from Hawkins. Was not expecting that at all, and I wondered if they would pull it off very well. That was one of my main concerns. I love the Turtles. I'm a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan, but I'm not paying attention to any of the current runs, where they're at. IDW Publishing holds the TMNT license, and Dark Horse holds the Stranger Things license. So that's where our two publishing companies are coming together to create this crossover. I haven't been paying attention to much that's happening in the Turtles universe. The last thing I read was The Last Ronin. I do know from covers and news that the Turtles have been crossing over with just about anything you can imagine.
We did a comic strip episode looking at the first volume of Batman versus the Ninja Turtles and the animated movie, which I loved so much. I had to buy it on Blu-ray. It's like the fan fiction of our dreams, and I loved it.
I still have not had a chance to watch it yet. I need to sit down because I have it to where I can just watch it and stream it, but I've not done that yet. I think Ronnie and I covered Turtles Ghostbusters a while back, and I think there's actually more than just one book of that. I think they came back together again. It's always fun to watch the Turtles work with other properties, and it seems like every time they do, they're not hard characters to pair up with the Ghostbusters or something like that, because it always seems like each turtle has a pair, an analog in that other universe, and we kind of get that here too. This came out in 2023. Like I said, IDW and Dark Horse come together here. This cross-company partnership, the series was written by Cameron Chittock. He's excited about bringing these two worlds together. And then we have art by Fero Pe, I'm going to go with here. It might be pronounced something different, but that's what I'm rolling with. And colors by Sofie Dodgson, letters by Russ Wooten. So there you go. That's our creative team. What were your expectations going into this book?
I wasn't 100% certain because I didn't even know where this storyline would take place in the Stranger Things timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So you get it. This takes place between seasons 2 and 3 of Stranger Things. Because Ella's able to go out in the open, so this isn't... I was like, okay, so she's got some hair, not like crazy long hair, but some hair. And we have Max with them. So it's after season 2. This has to take place before season 3 starts. It's the only logical conclusion. I will admit I was disappointed about one little thing, and it's a minor gripe. And I know true Ninja Turtle fans don't care, but I'm just going to complain about it. They're going full Eastman Laird style. The turtles all have the same color bandanas.
That's right.
I'm sorry. It drives me nuts.
Didn't like it.
Because unless you could see their weapons on them, you can't tell which turtle is which.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, you've got to pay attention to the dialogue, and sometimes the dialogue ain't even going to help you there. I had the same issue. I'm a little bit more forgiving just because Eastman and Laird turtles are what we are shooting for here, which is a different brand of the colored bandana turtles, that's for sure, because those seem to be a little more lighthearted fare. The red bandana, plus you got to think, okay, that's one thing I really dig about this book. It takes place in 85, which lines up perfectly with the Stranger Things universe, and it also kind of lines up perfectly with the Eastman and Laird side of things. The Turtles, as far as the colored bandanas, that stuff isn't going to take off for another couple years. Right now, we're in black and white Eastman and Laird territory in 1985. The gritty, violent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that the movie kind of paid homage to a little bit. That was one of my first notes. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the 85 Eastman and Laird Turtles. I'm so excited. This is going to be great.
The artwork really calls back to them. While they are in color, the turtles have much more hooked faces. They're not as round. A lot of people forget that the Turtles' personalities, Donatello does machines, and Michelangelo was the party dude. That and the colored bandanas did not happen until the 80s TV series. I feel so bad. I made this artwork for the show. You can see it in the background if you're watching this. I couldn't find a good high-res version of the Eastman Laird version of the logo. So I was looking, and it was like, okay, it's either the Michael Bay logo or the 80s TV show logo. Screw it. I'm going with the 80s TV show.
I'm fine with that. That's what I grew up on, number one. And it wasn't like I was back in, the 80s getting Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic books before the cartoon hit, that's for sure. It was all about the cartoon that brought me into the world of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles first, and then realizing they were a comic shortly after that. And even then, I wasn't picking up like the Archie comics that they were probably doing shortly after the cartoon dropped. But yeah, let me do the synopsis real quick, and then we'll go issue by issue. Got our notes here as to what I thought, what you thought here. Set in 1985, between seasons 2 and 3 of Stranger Things, the crossover begins with the Hawkins kids on a school field trip to New York City, where a series of strange subway encounters leads them into contact with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What starts as a run-in with demo dogs quickly escalates when the teams discover hybrid creatures combining demo dogs with Baxter Stockman's mousers. The groups join forces and uncover that Stockman, working with knowledge passed to him by Papa, that's right, is it Dr. Brenner? Is that his name? I think his name in the Stranger Things universe has been exploiting Eleven's psychic abilities to study the Upside Down and open interdimensional gates beneath the city. As the story unfolds, the threat grows far beyond Stockman. The teams learn that Utrom, I think that's how we pronounce it here, or the Utrom aliens.
I've heard Utrom and I've heard Utrom.
Utrom, okay.
So I'll go with either.
The same species as Krang accidentally opened a portal to the Upside Down while trying to return home, only for the Mind Flayer to seize control of their technology and some of their people. With gates opening across New York City and the Mind Flayer manifesting atop the Empire State Building, the heroes race to stop a permanent portal from opening in Times Square. Through teamwork, ingenuity, and Eleven reclaiming her agency, the gate is closed, the demo dogs are driven back to the Upside Down, and New York is saved. quietly. The turtles return to the shadows, the kids rejoin their field trip, and the world never knows how close it came to catastrophe. Now, getting into issue number 1, like I said, my notes here is the fact that we're opening in 1985. I absolutely love that. It's a sweet spot for both franchises here. This is peak early era TMNT energy, in my opinion. Just like you said, the art style is bringing that, and that is definitely on purpose. It also felt like it fit together here. I dug the field trip setup with Mr. Clark. I thought that was pretty cool. That's always the fun part when I get into crossovers like this, is trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to get these two properties together? Mr. Clark has taken him to New York City. It felt natural. That's pretty believable in my opinion. And it's a smart way of getting the kids to New York.
Admittedly, I did think we were going to see more of the older characters. We get a pseudo Hopper, mostly in the second book. And I guess part of me was sitting there going, really, Mr. Clark, this whole class, and you don't have any other chaperones? I was honestly expecting to see Joyce or Nancy or Jonathan or Steve. I was expecting Jonathan, Nancy, and Steve to be like chaperones on this. I also looked at how Joyce has always been hovering over Will ever since he got abducted. And I'm like, really? You let your son go to New York City with only his science teacher for adult supervision?
Right.
Yeah, I guess I was expecting to see a few more of the characters. Not upset. I love the kid characters. It was really great seeing them. But then we have Elle, who shows up because she's not in the class. She's homeschooled, for lack of better words. Right. She's arranged to meet the others. And I'm sitting there going, how? How did Elle meet the others when we know that she, Hopper's keeping an eye on her because they have to make sure she doesn't get seen. Right.
I wondered about that too, like how she just, I'm going to hop on a bus, take it to New York so I can hang out with the rest of the crew and not have people freaking out. Hopper definitely would have freaked out. And that's a good point too, like we don't get any of the adult characters at all through here. And Mr. Clark, we might see him once. He's mentioned quite a bit.
You see him at the beginning when he's with the kids, and then at the end when he's just like, well, where the hell were you? And the kids are like, we got pulled into the crowd. It was chaos. We got screwed over trying to navigate the subway system. We had no idea what we were doing. And God bless Mr. Clark. He doesn't ask questions.
No, he doesn't.
We've talked about that for the last few seasons of the show. Thank God this man does not ask why his students are asking these kind of questions about how you build a sensory deprivation tank. How, what is the idea behind parallel dimensions? Why are my magnets not working?
Right.
God bless this man for being integral to the plot.
Amen. I definitely dug when we see the demo dog / mousers. Those are essentially what we see right at the beginning here. They hear something down the subway and feel like they've heard that noise before. They go down there and sure enough, they see these demo dogs, but they got mouser jaws on them. And I was like, oh boy. All right. So we're just combining things now.
I am convinced that the demo mousers, as Dustin calls them, is how this comic book came to be. I'm willing to bet somebody was just drawing. Never read the early Eastman Laird comics that showed Mousers, so I don't know if they were actually creation of Eastman Laird or if they were creation of
during the series, right?
Because that was my introduction to them. But they have those 4-pronged jaws, and it looks a lot like a Demogorgon. Like that flower design. It's like, I am so convinced somebody did the demo dogs and realized how perfectly they fit in the Mauser mechanics. It's like, now I know what we got to do.
And they're like, oh, we have definitely got to do some more of this. I think my last note here for the first issue is I love the fact that Baxter Stockman knows who 11 is because of the whole scientific circles that he runs in. He's talked to Papa before. And I think that's kind of where we end things. That cliffhanger at the end of the first issue when they climb the building and get to the roof and Stockman sitting there with a bunch of security guards, or I think it's probably Papa's security force. That's kind of what I was thinking. This is it's now gone from, okay, he's a turtle villain to now he can also be a villain for Hawkins. And we leave it at that at the end of the first issue. So Doug, I like bringing Baxter Stockman into this. Obviously, we knew we were going to get him and we had the Mousers there, like you were talking about, the Mauser hybrids.
I'm assuming it is Hawkins Lab security because it's not the Foot Clan.
It is not.
No Shredder, no Foot Clan in this.
Right.
Which admittedly, I think was a smart move. I don't think Shredder and the Foot Clan and Bebop and Rocksteady or whatever would have actually fit into the Stranger Things timeline.
Right. And I know it's going to be, I think, issue 4 when we get the Utrom reveal. That took me by surprise, and I'll talk a little bit about that when we get to it. When you don't see Shredder, but you see something that looks like Krang, you're like, well, wait a second, what's going on here? I think there's a little bit of a continuity thing that I am not completely aware of in regards to the Utrom aliens. This feels like something, I can't even remember if that was in the cartoon. There may have been a cartoon featuring the other race, other people of the race of Krang.
I can fill that in.
Please.
There have been so many versions of the Ninja Turtles series or different adaptations.
Right.
But I believe the one I'm thinking of was the mid 2000s. It was a little darker, a little more streamlined, and it was actually kind of brilliant because they made Shredder an Utrom.
Okay.
Shredder has been on Earth for over 1,000 years. So he's run the control of the Foot Clan. This is what we got in the Turtles Forever crossover. It really played up the idea of the parallel dimension.
Yep.
And it's hilarious because, 1980s Shredder figures out how to pull another Shredder from another dimension, and he pulls it, and it's the Utrom. That's the Shredder.
Oh,
that's the other dimension Shredder. And of course, that Shredder is all gung-ho. I want to destroy the world, pure evil, and he's dealing with the 80s whiny Shredder, and it is so fun. I just love that it pokes fun at the silliness of the 80s series when they show up and it's like, okay, we'll get to it, but first we gotta rescue April. They don't even know what's going on. They've been in there for like 5 seconds. They automatically know, we gotta go. April's already been kidnapped.
I remember watching that, and I didn't know what I was going to be getting into at Turtles Forever. I was like, what am I expecting here? And get in there, and it's everything I wanted it to be, with a nod to the black and white comic, towards the end, if I remember correctly.
That is like the original dimension. I love that they poke fun at how the Turtles always broke the fourth wall with one of the rats. Like, what are you doing? Stop doing that!
That's awesome. Well, did you have any notes for issue 1? Anything else that I may have not brought up that you liked?
Well, that was mostly my notes. I did not understand how 11 got to New York on her own when Hop is clearly not involved. I think it would have made more sense if the older kids or even Joyce was there as a chaperone.
Right.
I think Hopper would have been a little more understanding about letting Elle go to New York if he knew that Joyce was there.
Yeah.
So, few minor plot holes. Those were my notes. The whole concept of, oh my God, that's definitely how this came about, the Dem Mousers design.
As we roll into issue 2, we don't get much of a fight, if I remember correctly. And I may not have mentioned this, I don't think I did, but we got 2 teams, if I remember correctly. We got one team that is going after when they realize what is going on, one team's going after try to find the rift to the Upside Down, and the other team,
the new gate.
The other team is going to investigate Stockman and find out what they can there. The other team is who?
Dustin, 11, and Max are with Raph and Donnie looking for it, because we do get this big thing in the first issue. Again, this is pure Raphael. They basically say she needs to do the thing where she closes her eyes tightly, covers them up, so she can access her psychic powers and figure out where Stockman is. Mm-hmm. And Raph gives her one of the bandanas and goes, but you haven't earned this yet. I'm like, okay.
Raph.
Take a chill pill, Raph.
We telling him to do that.
Oh, come on. Everyone's been doing that. So that leaves Lucas, Mike, and Will to go with Michelangelo and Leonardo to try to find the rift.
And the
others are going to find
Stockman
to figure out what's going on.
Right.
And basically ends with them getting swarmed, and then you cut through a little fan art. We see back at home. So
this threw me for a loop where you're like, oh, she's sitting at home. Maybe is this a flashback? No, we find out that's not the case. This is some type of psychic realm that Baxter Stockman is trying to invade her mind to make her open a rift to the Upside Down. It threw me at first because I saw Hopper there, and I'm like, okay, well, what is this? This is just a flashback? No, this is actually what's going on in her head. And he's taken the form of Hopper to convince her to use her powers, to which in the actual world she is starting to open up a rift on the wall at the lab. But the rest of them are thrown into individual cells.
Which is hilarious because they're spending all the, because you hear Dustin and Donatello trying to figure out how to undo the lock because they're both the Brainiacs. And all of a sudden there's this crash and Raph goes, the locks might be special, but the doors ain't.
Doors ain't. That's right. This felt very Raph to me. I mean, Raph has always been the gruff. He's my favorite, by the way. Raph is my favorite turtle. This felt like him. He's still rough around the edges, aggressive, and of course he'd be the one that breaks the door down to get the rest of the team out of there. The scene it reminds me of a scene from Ever After, and I know that's weird as hell, but you have a scene where a character's locked in a cellar and everyone's trying to break the lock to get her out. Leonardo da Vinci comes and goes, hang on. Instead of going to the lock, he goes to the hinges and just pulls the hinges out. And they all go, that was brilliant. He goes, yeah, I'll go down in history as the man who opened a door. It's funny. The other thing I liked about this, Raph is consumed about getting his weapons back. So they took their weapons and he wants his size back, which felt very the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie to me.
I lost a sigh.
He's very upset about it. It's like he's lost a piece of himself. As we progress further through the issue, when you look at Will and Mike and Lucas, they finally find the rift. It's in a subway car. Great setting choice, in my opinion. We're in the subway. It's underneath the ground, and it's dark. It's scary. It's this perfect blend of horror, along with the right at home for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles here. That ending, though, of issue 2, when the Demogorgons come out of the rift and they're trying to figure out, like, okay, the Turtles are going to protect the kids. So the kids are kind of in the back. One of them says they want to join the party, which is a very role-playing game thing. And the Turtles are trying to take these Demogorgons out, but end up getting overwhelmed and their weapons get tossed aside. So the nunchucks and the katanas are laying on the ground. And the end of that issue is awesome, where I think it's Lucas and Mike each grab a katana, or maybe it's Mike and Will each grab a katana, and Lucas
has got a nunchuck.
Yes,
yeah. I think we got an upgrade, Lucas. Time to join the party.
I love that.
Yeah, totally metal.
It was, if I remember correctly, a full page splash, and they're sitting there with those weapons in their hand. That is so awesome, and that's where we end it too, right? Like that's the end of issue 2.
Yes, it is.
I was like, okay, I am here for this. This is something that, number one, it's looking great. Number two, I'm just sitting there thinking, what are these kids going to do? They need to help the Turtles out. It's going to be fun to watch them jump in and join the fight. And I can't wait for issue 3. So any thoughts on issue 2 there?
It is really creepy the way that Baxter Stockman's got hooked up in that alternate reality. This has been done in so many other fictions, but the one I always look at is Gravity Falls. When Bill Cipher is released, he takes control of Mabel, but he doesn't torture her. He puts her in an alternate reality that is everything she's ever wanted. It is just pure joy. And he talks about how only the strongest will in the world can break free of something like that. Or The Man Who Has Everything, graphic novel by Alan Moore.
Superman.
It's like the idea to give you what you want and then take it away. And even though this isn't Elle's perfect dream, obviously, she's with her adopted dad and he's saying, go ahead and use your powers. I'm not going to hold you back anymore. Mm-hmm. And you got to know that's probably something that she's been wanting for a long time.
Yeah, and I remember sitting there going, like, what is going on here? But just like you said, you finally learn shortly thereafter that, okay, it's Baxter Stockman doing this. I can't remember if in issue 2 because I just got my truncated notes here, but is it in issue 2 where they figured out a way to hook Raph up to it to get him in there? I can't remember if that happens or not.
It is because, where's the page here?
I remember.
This is a little hard to judge. The two storylines, we got the kids on the subway, the kids in the lab, and Elle's mind. Everything. It does jump back and forth between them, but yeah. I just love it's like knock knock crash and there's Raph just standing at the door Kool-Aid Man style.
So they've got a plan to get her, at least trying to get her to wake up, because If I remember correctly, the reason they could not just like unplug things is because it would hurt the host. Stockman made it that way because it seems like the lab people were not very... I don't think he could trust the lab people because he knew that one of them might feel bad about what's happening. So he put in a little failsafe and said, well, if you disconnect us somehow, she gets harmed in some way.
He's probably realized he's been screwed over by Shredder too many times.
Right.
And he's just like, you know what? I'm going to hold on to the control just a little longer.
Right. All right. Anything else for issue 2 before we get into issue 3?
Again, my only complaint, and it's a minor thing, is I wish we had more of a clear cut between the different story arcs, especially near the end. I'm going back to where you have Elle in her fantasy and everything is very red, but then we cut back to the subway near the gate, which is also red. I think I would have liked a little bit of a variety in some of the palette choices to help differentiate where we are in the story.
Where you're jumping.
When you read it again, you can easily tell, but I think something like that would have been a lot better.
Yeah, and I understand what they're trying to do is show you like what's happening in real time. Okay, this is happening here, and then a short burst here, and then we come back to this, and a short burst back to that. But I kind of agree with you. Let's just divide the issue by 2, and we'll kind of follow what's happening here, and then we'll jump to the subway and see what's happening in the subway for the rest of the issue. I don't know if it took me out too much, but I can understand what you're saying there for sure, because there were a couple times where I was like, okay, where am I at now? Oh, okay, I see a katana. All right, so I'm back in the subway. I know
so obviously we have to keep the area around the rift red. I got that. And we have more of a clear, lighter color with white backgrounds for the lab. I get that. So how about in the cabin we go with blue or green as the color? Just something like that to make it easier to tell when you're switching points of view.
I agree.
Just something I personally would have done better.
Sure. Anything else before we get into issue 3?
Let's go ahead and move on. Has Elle realizing, okay, well, if it's like he's playing in our minds, I don't have Teleka, whatever, but who do you really think is in control here?
Yeah, Raph finally getting to her. That was my first note, is him getting into that psychic vision, whatever she's having here. And, you know, it's awesome to see him kind of talk her through it and be like, you're like the strongest person here. Because at this point, Stockman's taken off the facade. He's showing that he's the threat.
The speech that Raph gives to Elle when he finally understands, you know, she wasn't just born with these powers. I get the feeling in the earlier issues, Raph thought she was born with the powers or something, and realizing that she was given her abilities similar to how he was, you know, through the accident with the ooze. And he identifies her a little bit more. And again, I love this speech. So we didn't have a choice in how we were made. Who cares? The lunatic over there sees that as a weakness. Say it's a badge of honor that we're still standing. Every choice you make adds up. And after a while, you're not a test subject or a mistake. You're you.
Yeah.
Great speech.
It really
and of course, it has to come from Raph. It has to.
Yep. I just go ahead and mark that off right now, because that was my note there, was about that speech that he gives to Elle. And how she takes control at that point and is able to get herself out of this safely. She's using her powers, and I mentioned agency in the summary. This is the point where she kind of reclaims and understands that she is who she is, and she has these powers, and she can use them. Just like you said, you are you. My next note, I think I probably did 3 or 4 things for each issue, but my next note is definitely going back to the subway battle between the Demogorgons and the Turtles.
Let me guess. Ninja weapons on fire!
Look at that 2-page spread right there of them. Like, I think it's Will. It's either Will or Mike, or maybe, you know, one of them's like, yeah, these things don't like fire. And
okay, be perfectly blunt here, unless you are paying close attention to what the kids are wearing, because it is soaked in red and orange.
Right.
Will and Mike look virtually identical. And there were multiple times it's like, wait, which one was which? I legit cannot tell.
Somebody gets the brilliant idea, though, to be like, these things don't like fire, and they light the weapons. Michelangelo and Leonardo go to town with these lit weapons, and gosh, it looked cool. I think it's Will that uses the tentacles or whatever those things are that are coming from the rift, and like wraps them around the katana and lights that on fire. which is pretty freaking cool.
That makes sense. Otherwise, how the hell is a sword and nunchucks lighting on fire without any fuel?
Right.
So it has to be that.
Yeah. Great visual right there. Absolutely loved it. And then as we get towards the end, that's where we get our Utrom reveal. For me, I'm reading this, and again, not 100% steeped in the old classic continuity. I have so much respect for it, but I don't know everything that happened in the black and white comics. Seeing Krang, I was like, oh, is that Krang? Is it actually going to be Krang? But no, it ends up being part of his species. They start to realize that there is a lot more afoot here. They start to realize that, okay, now these are interdimensional beings as well. They have crossed over to our dimension, and now it's starting to, what is going on here? Why is the Utroms involved? At this point, they have gone through the rift and found these things inside the Upside Down. So again, mysteries abound. I loved it. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to say about the Utrom reveal.
Well, it's a good thing the Utrom are apparently fireproof, since I guess its will just lights it on fire. And that's how it's similar to the ending of season 2 when they heat up Will to get the pieces of the Mind Flayer out of him. But can we just talk about how awesome this page is?
Oh my. Is this our last page? Yes.
The Mind Flayer on top of the Empire State Building.
Crossing the note off right now. That was my final note, because that picture is freaking cool. When we were watching season 2, I was like, how big is this thing? And right there, you can kind of get the idea of scale that the Mind Flayer has. As, I mean, what other monument can you have where something is scaling a building? Homage to King Kong here, but no, it's the Mind Flayer. It felt, seeing that last page, again, every single issue was like, oh my gosh, I got to get to the next, because the way they leave us is like something's going to happen or something huge is going on, and I had to read the next issue for sure. That is a beautiful and fantastic and horrifying visual.
I also love they're questioning the other group is questioning Stockman. They got him tied up, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And Stockman just, it's like, why do you think everyone wants 11? She's a tool. And 11 uses her psychic powers. She goes, shut up. And she doesn't slap him.
No.
She uses her psychic powers to slap him.
I think you might see a handprint or an imprint on his face, but nobody is touching him. It's funny.
Yeah, really good line. And here, this was an alternate cover. Leonardo has got the sword facing the, sorry about the glare here, but yeah, facing the Mind Flayer. Oh my god.
Man, that is awesome.
This is like heavy metal album cover perfection.
Love it, love it.
Fero Pe, who drew this or did this one, you rock so hard, my friend.
I agree. When you're doing something like this and you're like, okay, I am going to pay honor to the mid-'80s black and white comics, he did a fantastic job doing that throughout this whole book. As far as visual style and how these characters look, we're going to get another great nod to the 80s Turtles here, I think, in the next issue. I don't think it happened in the 3rd issue. I believe it happens in the 4th. Regardless, you can't do that with a real clean art style. It's got to be gritty, kind of grimy, and it's just got to be done right. And I think that they did perfect here. I agree with you 100%. All right. Well, before we get into issue 4, did you have my notes on issue 4? Did you have any notes on issue 3? Any ones we didn't get a chance to talk about?
I guess it's like awesome artwork with the Mind Flayer. Love the little psychic slap. Actually, I'm glad you brought up about wrapping the vines of the Upside Down around the whip. I did have to do a double take going, wait, how the hell is the blade on fire? Metal doesn't burn like that.
Yeah, we were talking about the Utrom, and you started to talk about this. But yeah, Will lights the tentacles that are going into the Utrom, which I thought was dead, by the way. I thought the Utrom was dead. Yeah. One of the turtles grabs a hold of him and says, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm saving him. The vines kind of peel off or burn off. The Utrom alien here, which I don't think we do get a name. I don't think he's Fred or anything like that. He's alive.
I love that.
He's actually alive. So they are going to... We got an alive Utrom. We're going to find out what exactly is going on, I'm sure. So, okay. Issue 4. Here's my notes for issue 4. I loved how we get Max involved here, and she's one of the smart ones to come up with a plan. to get the demo mousers, who are part of the pack. We learned from Baxter Stockman that the reason he created them was so they could go in with the pack of the rest of the demo dogs, follow them back through the rift, learn more about the home, and report back, or whatever technology he had.
Just put a GoPro on one of the demo.
Right. Well, she gets the idea, like, supposedly these things could communicate with the demo dogs. So she's grabbed some kind of portable monitor or something. Her plan is to get one of these demo dogs or the demo mousers, to convince the rest of the pack to go in through the rift, therefore eliminating that threat. Hey, Max coming up with the idea, great. Love to see it. Mirage-era, Casey Jones, April O'Neil. Showing up here, we have the dark hair, April O'Neil, which is clearly Mirage continuity. Casey
Rocking that mullet.
1985 all the way. Casey Jones, my second favorite turtle character, I would say.
Mine too. I freaking love Casey Jones.
Yeah.
Always have. I hate the Michael Bay movies. It's like, dude, Stephen Amell's an amazing actor, but he's not Casey Jones.
Yeah, I had issues with that. I didn't watch a lot of the Nickelodeon Turtles, but I remember watching a few episodes that had Casey in it, and I felt like he was done well in that too. I mean, so I've always been a fan of Casey Jones. So it was cool to see them. The Turtles are like, yeah, we got some friends that'll get us over there, because I think that the team at the lab are trying to figure out, after they had figured out this portal, I think is going to open. Is going to open on top of the Empire State Building, or is this in some other building? I mean, we saw the Mind Flayer on the Empire State Building, so I thought that's where this portal is going to open. But I don't think they disclose it, as far as I know. I feel like it's just at the top of a building somewhere.
Okay, this is one of the few things I really don't like in this book. We've got the two.
You didn't like that? Oh my gosh. I love that. That's my next note. First off, you got to think about what they're trying to convey with the medium here. They have a comic book, and they've got to try and show the upside down. That page, those 2 pages, are probably the second thing that really spawned them to be like, okay, we got to do this upside down thing for sure with the TMNT. I got a great idea for a couple splash pages. But no, I love that, because they're showing what's happening. Now, granted, you have to turn the book upside down, but that's something you can do with a comic book, which makes it really cool, in my opinion. And we get the big portal in the middle of the page. It shows you they're working on trying to get this portal. That whole thing came together for me. I loved it. I hate that you didn't like it, but I understand.
That just kind of gave me a headache trying to understand. I mean, it's still cool artwork, but I don't know, personal thing.
All right. So my next big moment is when Mike and Leo's team, after talking to the Utrom alien, learn that the Utroms are trying to get back to their own universe. They opened up a portal to the Upside Down, and now the Mind Flayer has a good idea of using that technology to create a rift in Times Square. So they're going to open up this huge portal in Times Square. So our team, Mike's team, is trying to figure out a way to go in there and stop that. That's where this 2-page splash comes in. They find the building, and they're heading up to this device that's on top of this building. Meanwhile, you have the team in our world, Max's team, and Max and Donnie's, trying to get to the same spot, essentially. They figure out that that's where things are going to be happening. Then we have the moment where 11 is getting ready to face, I think, a bunch of demo dogs. They're trying to scuttle these things up the stairs into this portal and get them out of there. This is where Raph finally
gives her the bandana. It's like, you know what? You've earned this now.
Yeah. And what a high point here. You know, she grabs the face mask. That's probably the best term. I've always called them bandanas for some reason. You go back in many years of podcasts and realize that I've called them bandanas, which they're face masks, I guess. But anyway, she puts the face mask on. She has the eye holes, and she is wearing this thing, and she lets loose. We will show them who we are. What a powerful moment. One of my favorite moments there. You got anything on that?
Mostly just laughing about Dustin asking Casey if he can borrow one of his baseball bats.
Oh, yeah. He's like, these work on these things. He knows.
I do find it kind of funny that April is now on crowd control while Casey joins in the action.
Yeah. So my next note is they finally get up to the device and they've got to get the other team out through the rift, get all the demo dogs and Mousers or whatever through the other side into the upside down, and then essentially destroy the device. It's Dustin and Raph who throw some stuff at it. Basically, Raph throws his sai. He finally got his sai back, and then he's throwing it back into this machine. I can't remember what Dustin threw. It's probably his baseball bat, right?
Yeah.
It's simple, it's effective, it's symbolic of teamwork. These two teams came together and they destroyed the device and end the crisis here. So they don't really overpower the villain, which is, this is the other thing, you got to treat with kind of kid gloves, is the continuity of each of these things. You definitely don't want to mess with the continuity of Stranger Things. And considering this came out in 2023, we're past season 4 at this point, if I remember correctly. So they cannot go back unless they're going to be like, well, this isn't canon. But they don't really do anything by overpowering the Mind Flayer. They just essentially stop it from taking over New York City. So I think it was a good way of ending the crisis. Any thoughts?
I do love the ending with them talking with the Utroms. They don't blame them. The Utroms were not trying to open up a path to the Upside Down. They were trying to... Again, this is what it's called in the 80s cartoon. They call it Dimension X.
X, that's right.
So I don't know if that is Mirage Comics accurate, but that's what I'm going to go with. That is the problem with Ninja Turtles. And it's not a problem per se, but it's that there have been so many versions.
You're
so
right.
many shows, comics,
movies. Right.
It's just like, which continuity are we talking about?
Concerts. From what I understand, Shredder does not like music.
Oh, God. Did you have to bring that up?
He hates music. We should know this. You have no idea how many times I listened to the Coming Out of Our Shells.
Coming Out of Our Shells.
Soundtrack, which, by the way, that song is not on Spotify. You have to go to YouTube to find that thing, but he definitely hates music. Maybe that's why he isn't involved here. He's off somewhere.
Coming Out of Our Shells tour is on Spotify.
Yes, it is. I listened to that repeatedly in 2020 to 2021. There's a Spotify Wrapped that has that as my #1 album. I'm not kidding you.
That's how you got through COVID with Ninja Turtles Out of Our Shells tour.
Things were bad. I'll have to find that Wrapped because I know I screenshotted it. You wouldn't believe the summer of 2020 was me listening to that over and over and also trying to remain sane because of the amount of overtime I was working. Obviously, it didn't work too well. So you were talking about the Utroms here. I forgot about it, and it's not on my notes, but I remember they rescue the one Utrom that the Mind
Flayer was using, to open the dimensional portal.
The look on his... when you look at his face, I don't know. Because I was thinking, I don't know if he's fully in control of his faculties here. He doesn't say a word. After he's rescued, it's still the other one talking. So I kind of wonder if they're like, okay, let's leave this little bit to make people realize that maybe the Mind Flayer isn't done with this Utrom. Who knows? But anyway, I liked that little bit. They didn't let him talk. They didn't let him do anything. It seemed very like almost Will Byers-ish, where everything's okay, and then he he pukes
throws up another slug.
Right. So, anyway.
And I do love this thing. When the turtles and the kids are all saying goodbye, Mike says, well, you could always come visit us in Indiana. And the mall that's opening, that'll basically be like the Times Square of Hawkins.
Yep.
Foreshadowing.
Starcourt Mall. My goodness. Yeah, that's exactly what I had written down here. The closing, our quiet goodbye, the continuity nod to what's going on here, the kids rejoining the field trip, and the turtles kind of disappearing back into the city. Felt good. I mean, I know I sent you a message shortly after I had read this that I really enjoyed this. We already talked, I gushed about the art style already. And again, it has to be handled with deft hands to kind of make this feel like it should fit together. And I think it was done. They did a great job, in my opinion. I'm glad this is something that's out there. This could have sucked really bad because if you don't have the right people understanding what's going on in both franchises here, it could have been done completely. They made a point to be like, no, this is taking place between here and here, and this fits perfectly because this is what's happening over here at this point in time. Great job, in my opinion. So I leave it to you for the final word here.
I was just looking at some of the artwork that's in the final few pages. We get a lot of the sample covers that didn't end up getting picked. But one of my favorites is a series done by Adam Gorham that showed the kids and the turtles playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, really?
So it actually shows what each of them play as. So we got Donatello, who's an artificer.
Okay, perfect.
Michelangelo is a gnome.
All right.
Okay. Leonardo is a paladin.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
No question there.
Right.
And
Raph's a barbarian.
Actually, druid.
A druid. Okay.
Although I think they should have gone with barbarian.
I don't know much about D&D, but a druid seems kind of odd.
I don't get why they said Michelangelo's a gnome. It's been a while since I played D&D, but I thought gnome was a species, not a class.
You got me. I would have went with bard. That's about the only thing I could have probably picked. I don't even know if that, because that's about the most upbeat thing that's out there, I would assume. Well, yeah, I don't
know. I could see him as a thief.
Okay. All right. Fair. Anything else? I mean, so you had your little nitpicks. There were a couple things, but overall, were you impressed?
Very much so. This was a lot of fun. I love how dedicated they are to the classic Mirage comic style and how well it blends with the 80s feel of the kids. The story works well. It was smarter to focus on Baxter, Stockman, and the Mind Flayer. This didn't feel like shoving in extra characters for fan service. It really did feel natural. There were a few things I think they could have done to strengthen the story, make it a little bit more sense, like including Joyce or a couple of the teenagers to act as chaperones. But other than that, this was a really good graphic novel, and I loved reading it.
Yeah, I'm glad I got the chance to talk about it, too. This right here fits in for our December Stranger Things tie-in for December, and I think it was a perfect discussion of a fun book. I'm glad we got to do this. I don't have anything else here if you're ready to get into plugs.
All right. Well, remember, folks, we will be talking season 5 Stranger Things in January. We got a lot to talk about. We've only seen the first 4 episodes, but that alone has already given us so much to talk about. All right. We will be discussing season 5 in January. It's not on the calendar yet. I need to sit down. I have got that. Percy Jackson season 2. And it's Welcome to Derry, and I got to get all 3 of those on the calendar. The final month of 2025, the final nail in the coffin that has been this nightmare of a year, is finally being hammered in, and we can move on with our lives. Sorry, this has not been a good year for me. It has not been a good year for a lot of my friends.
I understand. Some bad stuff happened there at the beginning, if I remember correctly. Something happened, like somebody got swore in. Anyway.
All I know is that he was supposed to talk. Everyone said, you know what, go watch a Rob Reiner film instead.
Please do.
For the record, Mark Radulich, Robert Winfrey, and I reviewed the 2025 Frankenstein just 2 nights ago. We also took a moment to discuss the passing of Rob Reiner and just what his films and his work has meant to us as film enthusiasts, and just how saddened we are for the tragic loss of him and his wife. And our hearts go out to the rest of the family. We can't imagine what you are going through right now. We are so sorry for your loss.
Horrible.
So we got that. This is actually my last show for a bit until the very end of the year. I believe it's on January 1st. I will be joining again Mark Radulich and Robert Winfrey. We are going to do our best and worst of 2025. I was laughing because they have to do the worst of 2025. I don't have to subject myself to that horror.
Yes.
They have to talk about how they sat through Snow White and that Amazon Prime War of the Worlds movie. I'm like, have fun with that. I will be talking about the best TV shows of 2025. So looking forward to that. And again, we're going to talk about our favorite movies of the year. I'm actually going to be trying to binge this weekend and get a few more in. I really want to go see Hamnet. I've been hearing nothing but amazing things about that. I want to go see Is This Thing On? That's Bradley Cooper's latest film. Love him as a director. So if you're interested in hearing us talk about the best and the worst of 2025, that's going to air on January 1st. In addition to reviewing the 2025 Frankenstein, these last few weeks, we also took a look at Five Nights at Freddy's 2, What a misfire that was. And Zootopia 2, which was not a misfire. That was a very good movie. So be sure to stay tuned. We will be announcing before too long when the Stranger Things Season 5 review is going to come on, and really looking forward to it. That's for Honeysuckle Rose Creations, where fashion meets fandom at the intersection of geek and chic. We are still buried with holiday orders. I am working my butt off to get everything out as far before Christmas as possible. We ship through the United States Postal Service, and they're overworked and just buried with everything this time of year. Please bear with us. We are getting everything out as fast as we can, and we know they're shipping everything as fast as they can. Get your orders in as soon as possible. We sell on Etsy and Handmade at Amazon, and you can always find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. That's Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic.
What seems to be the hot item this season?
That would be a combination of our Clue jewelry. The Clue charm bracelets with pearls have been our number one seller the last 3 or 4 years. And the big one this year is our Vox earrings. Our Has-Been Hotel jewelry is very popular, but it's the Vox earrings that have been selling nonstop. So Honeysuckle Rose Creations, trust us with your accessories.
Nice nod. All right, well, as for my schedule, this coming Sunday, me and Mark are getting together. We're doing a triple feature. I've watched 2 of the 3 so far. We're going to do Oh What Fun, which I have decidedly retitled First World Problems, A Christmas Story. This is horrible.
Yeah, that sounds about accurate.
I hated it. And Jingle Bell High.
Not even Dennis Leary could save that movie.
I'm sorry. He tried. Look, Michelle Pfeiffer, I haven't seen her in anything for a very long time, so it was kind of nice to see her back on the screen. But regardless, the story, maybe I'm just not the right demographic for this thing. I don't know. But either way, you can hear me gripe about that on Sunday, along with Jingle Bell Heist, which I have watched, starring, oh my goodness, the girl from Cloak and Dagger. I cannot remember her name, Olivia Holt, and I don't know who the dude is. Anyway, watch that one. It was okay. A neat little twist ending, in my opinion. And then we have A Merry Little Xmas. I have no idea other than Alicia Silverstone and Melissa Joan Hart are in that. Haven't watched it yet, so I have to get that in probably by Saturday. And then for the other source material show that'll be showing up on Monday, we're getting into Christmas week next week. What a crazy time. Me and Mark Radlich talk Santa Claus Private Eye. An interesting book. I wasn't disappointed. It was a decent book. On Christmas Day, you can hear myself, Evan Bevins, and Chris Armstrong get together for another source material episode, Marvel 2-in-1 number 8, where the ever-loving blue-eyed thing and the flame-headed Ghost Rider get together for a Christmas tale written by Steve Gerber. So if you're a Steve Gerber fan, Howard the Duck, She-Hulk, he is on, this is 1974. So not usually an era I go back to, but this is one of Evan's favorite books, and it was fun to talk to him about it. And yeah, what a crazy, wacky story that was. As for the Unspoken Issues podcast, right now, I am in the middle of doing a small, sometimes less than 10-minute episode each day on all 8 stories that are in the Marvel Holiday Special from 1993. There's some fun stuff in there, some odd stuff, but we open it up with a completely wordless 8-page story of Wolverine just obliterating everybody. By the end of the story, you realize it's just a kid with a Wolverine toy at a department store and he's playing with it. It's so cool. It's a great way to open it up. So I go through my first episode. I talked about some of the hottest toys in 1992, at the end of 1992. And yeah, it's a fun time had by all. So there's a total of 8 stories. So like I said, not much of an investment. Each day I think I'm dropping about 10, 15 minutes at the most. So with that being said, I think that's all I have on my calendar for Alexis Hejna, who's right over there. We're coming back with Stranger Things here soon. Don't worry, folks. And then for myself, Jesse Starcher, we wish you all a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Turtle Power.
Thanks for joining us. All of this would not be possible without W2Mnet.com, so make sure to seek them out for more podcasts. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please feel free to share, and we look forward to entertaining you again soon.